Joining me on the broadcast is WION's Jordan correspondent, Daniele Pagani. Daniele, the war of words continues. Now the US saying that Russians are obstructing the inspection of that site. What do we have from the ground?
Well, very difficult to say because, unfortunately, there is no independent access on the ground. Even the international team of inspectors belonging to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons are still waiting at the doorstep of the city of Duma, where this chemical attack, which must be one of the most talked about chemical attack in the last at least year, took place. Russia says it was staged. There was a moment when they said it actually had never taken place. Then their own spokesperson said that it had taken place, but it was orchestrated by foreign powers. The French and also the UK Prime Minister Theresa May said, and also the Secretary of Defense of the United States said that they, before the strikes, had enough intelligence evidence to say that the attack took place and the regime was responsible for that. So everyone claims to know where the truth is, but the truth is, Raghavendra, that we are left with unverifiable statement. I think as of now, the only reliable source would be eventually the international team of inspector of the OPCW.
Indeed. And Daniele, we have seen the battle in Ghouta. It may be over, but there surely are challenges ahead.
Definitely yes, definitely yes. Now Duma is not, I would say, a war zone anymore, meaning that there is no active combat fighting right now in Duma. But the infrastructure of the city, as you can imagine, after several weeks of daily very heavy bombings and also after years of siege, are not functioning anymore, and also the services are not available for the population. The majority of which left Duma. They took the chance to leave Duma. Duma was one of the strongholds of the anti-Assad opposition, even back in the days when the Syrian revolution was not an armed revolution, but it was a call for democracy, of more participation of the people into the political scene of the country. Therefore, many of the people who used to live in Duma are currently displaced and living in the province of Idlib. So it will be very difficult for the city to get back to normalcy.
Also, Daniele, Ghouta was largely anti-Assad stronghold. Now that is under government control. Is the crisis finally over there?
This is a problem. This, Raghavendra, is a problem. It's not going to be a problem only for Duma, but for the entire eastern Ghouta and also other parts where the government of Syria now holds military control. These places were places which gave a huge contributor to the anti-Assad movement, both back in the days when it was not an armed movement, but also when it became an armed movement and started fighting actively with weapons against Syrian troops. Most of these people abandoned all these places, and you can imagine that now that they are under Syrian control, most of these people are kind of afraid to go back. They are afraid of retaliation. So it will be an enormous challenge to start a reconciliation process, which will be very complicated on both sides. People will need to trust the same army that they have been fighting against, and the army would need not to retaliate the army or the government or any security apparatus. Therefore, they will need to create, I would say, a friendly environment for civilians to go back. And this is perhaps one of the most difficult challenges in a post-war scenario.
Also, Daniele, we are hearing that German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Russian President Vladimir Putin have discussed the crisis and agreed on the need for a political process. How do you see this?
Well, Germany is trying to find for itself a sort of neutral role in all this crisis. If you remember, Germany was the one country, a very relevant country in the European Union, I would say one of the most important countries in the European Union, who said we are absolutely on the side of our allies when they will attack eventually the chemical weapons premises, but we will not participate actively in the attack. So basically, the Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel, said that Germany doesn't want to militarily participate in anything called by the United States of America in Syria. So this, as of now, makes them, I would say, the most neutral among at least the European actors. It doesn't mean completely neutral, but the most neutral. So this call with the president of Russia, despite not adding anything to the scenario, could be a sign of Germany willing to negotiate or to mediate or to find a role of political mediator between all the belligerents.
Absolutely, and we'll leave it at that for the moment. Thank you, Daniele Pagani, for joining us on the broadcast.